Today, I'm going to share a subtle mental shift that will be so powerful for you if you are either a people pleaser, someone who continually feels overwhelmed in life, like you always have so many things to do on your to do list, or you're someone who is chronically indecisive, unsure of your preferences, and just kind of goes with the flow or gets stuck in indecision. All right. So, the basic idea is this: catch yourself whenever you hear yourself in your head or out loud saying, I need to do this, or I have to do this. And instead, practice changing that to either I want to do this or I choose to do this. Now, I know that seems kind of obvious, simple, but I want to unpack why this is way more powerful than you might be thinking. So, first of all, accuracy. Is it actually true that you need to do this, that you have to do this? I would argue that in the vast majority of cases, that is inaccurate, right? Um, I need to do the laundry. No, you really don't. Like, what's actually going to happen if you don't do the laundry? Is anyone going to die, right? Is your life going to end? Is anything really horrible going to happen? Like, absolute worst case scenario, you wear smelly, dirty clothes today. So that might suck, right? That might not be ideal, but you don't actually need to do that. Right? And need is a broad spectrum, of course. Like, what do you actually need in life? Maybe just food, water, shelter, something like real basics. Those are the only true like needs. But those are, survival needs. Then there are kind of psycho-emotional needs. I talked about this a few videos back for psychological well-being, right? So it's reasonable to say that you need friendship, you need support, you need connection, you need to feel safe, you need to feel healthy. There are many psycho-emotional needs that are also relevant here. But what we're talking about is really forcing yourself to be more accurate here. Because the danger is if you say, I need to do this, I have to do this, first it feels like pressure. And pressure often doesn't feel good. Like, it can be motivating, yes, but in kind of an unpleasant way. And so if there is a way that is just as effective or 90% as effective, but feels way better, why not do that, right? Why pick the way that feels unpleasant, right? So when you choose to replace I need or I have to, that's not to say you're not going to do the task, right? Sometimes it might. But if instead you say I want to do this or I choose to do this, there are two major benefits other than it feels better. So first is it forces you to figure out why you actually want that. I want to do the laundry. Why? Because good people do laundry? That's what it means to be an adult? I don't think that's your real reason. Right? Because I want to smell nice. Because I want to look presentable. Okay, why? Because I want to make new friends. Because I want to find a girlfriend. Because I want to impress people at the networking event. Because I want to feel more like myself. I want to feel confident. Whatever it is, there are many different reasons. But this can be a cool technique to keep asking why. Why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? And if you keep going, what you'll find is eventually, it might be like 4 layers down, 5 layers down, you reach a point where it doesn't really make sense to ask why anymore. That's how you know you're done. So you might keep asking why. And at the base level, the answer is why? Because I want to feel safe. Or because I want joy. Or because I value curiosity. Or because I value connection. So the base level reason is always going to be simple like that. It's going to be kind of an emotion. Because I want curiosity in my life. Because I want connection in my life. I want stability. Cool. That is much more powerful than because I have to. Because my mom taught me that good people do laundry regularly, right? If instead it's because I deeply value being seen for who I really am, or I deeply value having close connection with friends in my life. That's way more motivating than because I have to, because that's what good people do. So that's the first major benefit, is it really helps you hone in on a much more powerful why. That's motivating, and it's more accurate. That's the actual thing that is driving you. And then the second major benefit is, once you know that, okay, I'm doing this ultimately for safety, or I'm doing this ultimately to feel connection. Cool. Then you can actually take a step back and say, well, if what I'm actually after is connection, or what I'm actually after is safety, are there other ways to achieve that goal? So then you're less restricted. You're less locked into, it has to be this one thing. I need to do this. I have to do this. No, you actually don't. And instead, now you zoom out, and now you can brainstorm, well, what I actually want is to feel this feeling. It's pretty much why humans do everything. I want to feel a certain feeling, right? I want to be rich. I want to be the CEO. Okay, why? Because you want to feel confident. You want to feel like people admire you, right? Whatever it is, you want to experience a feeling. That's what drives us. And so if you know, I want to feel this feeling, then that expands the landscape of possibility. I think I have to do this, but it could be this or this or this. What are other ways of reaching that destination of that feeling? And then you can evaluate, well, I thought I needed to do this one, but this one's actually expensive, or this one actually drains me. This one's a lot of work. Is there another one that's cheaper or less work, less draining, more enlivening, that would help me achieve that same goal, that would also make me feel safe, or whatever it is? So it just gives you more options. It's less rigid, less locked in. And I guarantee if you feel less rigid, if you feel more free, more freedom, more expansiveness, that's going to serve you way better. And it's still going to help you achieve your goals. So I invite you to practice noticing any kind of rigidity in yourself. It has to be this way. I have to do it this way. I have to do this thing now. I need to do this. I have all these things on my to-do list. They have to get done. No, I guarantee probably no one's going to die if you don't do most of the things on your to-do list. Probably your life is not going to end. There might be unpleasant things, so you can look at consequences. If I choose this, it's going to lead to this consequence. If I choose not to do this, it might lead to that consequence. Great. That's valuable to know. But you still don't need to do it, unless it's eating or drinking or whatever, right? So look at, what consequence would this choice have? What is my preference here? And what is my deepest want, my deepest need? What feeling do I want to experience? Are there other ways of doing that? That are gentler to myself, kinder, easier? I hope that's valuable. I'd love to hear in the comments where you might apply this in your life, or if there's a particular thing that you feel stuck in that you really think, no, Michael, this is a need. I have to do this. I need to do this. And perhaps I can challenge you on it, because I do believe that most things in life are not actually needs. They seem that way. And some of them might have really crappy consequences if you don't do them. But you don't have to. It's more like, I don't want to experience this negative consequence. I don't want to feel anxious later today, so I'm going to choose to do this. Great. That's a way more empowering framing than, I have to do this. I wish you a nourishing day.